and welcome to my beginner's guide to reading tarot cards. This video is for anyone who wants to learn how to harness the power of tarot for self-reflection and insight. As a full disclosure, I'm a skeptic who loves tarot. Sounds contradictory, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can love science and tarot, and there's a lot of interesting psychology behind the practice. That might be a topic for another video. So to begin, I'd like to cover a little bit about the history of tarot. The tarot card deck as we know it today originated in Europe in the 1400s. It was initially a card game, and it wasn't popularized as a divination tool until the late 1600s and early 1700s. In fact, our modern 52-card playing decks are related to the original tarot card deck. The most famous deck is the Rider-Waite deck, also known as the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This deck was produced in 1909 by the Rider Company with artwork from illustrator Pamela Colman Smith and advice from academic and mystic A.E. White. The Rider-Waite deck is known for its simplicity and symbolism-packed illustrations. Most other decks today are based directly on the artwork from this deck. As you can see, from left to right, I have the same card from the Rider-Waite deck, the Tarot of Pagan Cats deck, and the Modern Witch Tarot deck. Even more artistic decks, like the Crow Tarot deck, still share similarities with the Rider-Waite deck designs. On to the deck itself. A tarot card deck consists of 78 cards divided into two sections, the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana. The Major Arcana is made up of 22 cards, each representing a general but powerful concept. These are the most famous cards of the tarot deck. Even if you're unfamiliar with tarot, you've likely encountered famous cards like the Lovers, the Tower, and the Wheel of Fortune. The cards are numbered 0 through 21, starting with the Fool and ending with the World. This series of cards tells a story called The Fool's Journey. The Minor Arcana is the other 56 cards in the deck, and these cards are divided into 4 suits: Wands, Cups, also sometimes called Goblets, Coins, also known as Pentacles, and Swords. Each suit has card numbers Ace through 10, and then a Page, Knight, Queen, and King. The 4 suits in the Minor Arcana have different associations. Wands are associated with creativity, passion, and the element of fire. Cups are associated with emotions, relationships, and the element of water. Pentacles represent wealth and material goods and the element of earth. And swords represent intelligence, challenges, and the element of air. There's a fantastic chart of tarot card suit associations on tarotteachings.com, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. So now that you know a little bit about tarot cards themselves, we're going to get into how you read them. Reading tarot has to do with interpreting the symbolism in the artwork on the cards. While each card does have general and historical associations, your interpretation of what's going on in the picture is just as valid. I find it a common mistake among beginner tarot card readers that they look for a guidebook and follow that book strictly to what every card means. And that's not necessarily the best way to go about reading tarot cards. For example, in my very first tarot card reading, I drew the 3 of Swords. Now, typically, this card is associated with bad things like betrayal and heartbreak. However, I interpreted this card in a completely different way. I saw the swords as emerging from the heart, like the heart of a warrior, of someone who is fierce and strong and persevering. So just remember that whatever you feel a card means is just as valid as anything a book or a website can tell you. It's all about your own personal feelings and your own introspection. Remember, tarot cards are descriptive, not prescriptive. Tarot can help you decipher your own feelings, thoughts, and intuitions. Because our brains are hardwired to look for patterns, you find a personal meaning in reading tarot because of the associations your brain makes with your own feelings and experiences. What tarot isn't is a hard, unyielding fortune-telling device. So a good place to start when you're learning how to read tarot is to familiarize yourself with common symbols and what they're associated with. You can research popular symbols and their affiliations, or you can compile a list of your own associations with these symbols. I recommend researching associations with common shapes, colors, and animals, since those are very popular motifs you'll see in many tarot card decks. For example, the color red is associated with fire and passion, yellow is associated with air and intellect, blue is associated with water and emotion, and green is associated with earth and stability. Now, the most important part of reading tarot cards is having a specific intention. You need to have some sort of a reason or a question or other motivator for reading your cards, or else you won't be able to decipher their meanings properly. So if I go in and I pull a single card from the deck without anything in mind, I probably won't get very much out of it. Whereas if I pull a card from my deck with the specific question in mind of, how do I solve this challenge I'm facing? Or how do I decipher this emotion that I can't figure out? In that case, because I have a specific intention for drawing a card and wanting to read it, my mind will more easily pick out symbols in that card and associate them with what's going on in my head and my life and help me make connections. So let's get into the spreads themselves. The possibilities are endless when it comes to tarot card spreads. You can use anywhere from just one card to the entire deck, though I definitely don't recommend the latter for beginners. For this video, I'll be walking you through how to do a simple 1-card spread and a 3-card spread. Now, the reason why we do spreads is to give every card a purpose. The purpose for that card can be as simple as the answer to your question, like the example I gave before about having an intention in drawing a single card. Single card pulls are the easiest way to read tarot cards and a really good way to get familiar with your deck. So for example, let's say I'm doing a single card pull first thing in the morning when I get up, and what I want to know is what's something I should be thinking about or keeping in mind throughout my day. You can draw a card from the deck any way you like. My personal favorite is to spread the whole deck out on my surface or my floor and pull whichever card I feel like is calling out to me. So I drew the Hermit. My personal interpretation of this card is isolation, self-reflection, or being a guide or a helper to someone else. Now this card is from the Modern Witch Tarot deck, and the booklet for this deck says this about the Hermit. Through solitude, we can discover new things about ourselves. The Hermit has shrugged off material and superficial concerns and distractions and has retreated to an inner sanctum. It's okay to be alone. Silence and meditation can help you explore your own inner worlds and lead you to new places. So in the context of my purpose for doing this pull, I would interpret this as, maybe I should take today as a day of self-reflection. Maybe I need some me time or to reflect on what's been going on in my life and think more deeply about the world around me. Now that's just a very brief overview. So now that we've covered single cards, let's talk about 3-card spreads. So 3-card spreads are probably the most popular way to read tarot cards. It's very simple, but it gives you lots of information to work with. Now with any spread, you want to lay the cards down in the order that you drew them. And each card that you draw has a purpose. 3-card spreads are incredibly versatile, and there are so many possibilities for what those 3 cards could represent. I'm going to share with you 4 of my favorite 3-card spreads. The first is the relationship spread. In this one, the first card represents you, the second card represents another person in your life, and the third card represents your relationship. The second spread is the past, present, and future, which is pretty self-explanatory. The first card represents your past, the second card is the present, and the third card is your future. The third spread I like to call the Journey Ahead spread, and it's supposed to give you a bit of insight on maybe your life path and where you're going. So the first card represents where you are now, the second card represents the journey ahead of you, and the third card represents the outcome at the end of that journey. The final spread is what I like to call the problem-solving spread. In this one, the first card represents the current situation that you're struggling with, the second represents the obstacle in the way, and the third represents a possible solution. So I hope this video gave you a good basic understanding of how to read tarot cards. I would recommend getting familiar with your deck, go through it. identify all of the cards, see what you associate with each cards, and then maybe read up online about what some of the more common associations are. Just really familiarize yourself with your deck and bond with it. The more you work with your cards, the more it will become second nature to know what they mean, and the more accurate and helpful information you'll be able to glean from them when you're doing readings. I would love to read about your experiences starting your journey reading tarot cards down in the comments below. And if you would like to see a video about the psychology of tarot, or even how to use a standard playing card deck for divination if you don't have access to a tarot card deck, let me know, because I would love to make both of those. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy reading your tarot cards.